Hello everyone, welcome to Stormworks Build and Rescue on what is a fairly miserable day, and welcome to Holt Town. Now, this is somewhere don't usually spend a lot of time in my videos here, but today is a bit of an exception because this is a video all about one of my new projects. So, this is Holt Harbour, and obviously as you can tell it's fairly much work in progress at the minute. So there are going to be a few things you're going to see that might look sort of wrong and unfinished. Sort of just ignore them. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you around the place, and then we're going to take Tar Heel, my big red kind of salvage boat there, up out of the harbour and up the channel. So all part of like the sort of harbour infrastructure that I'm building here. And what we're doing now, well, quite badly, is trying to take this little car here. This is Suzuki Jimny off the workshop. Very cool little car. We're trying to take this down to the ferry. Now, ferry, as you can see in the distance there, big boat that says Sawyer Pioneer on the side of it. The ferry is set up at the ferry terminal, which is one of the features this harbour has. You'll notice this kind of like sheltered walkway down here. This is for foot passengers that are on their way down to the ferry, so that on a day like today they can walk along there and stay dry while they go into the terminal building, which will end up sort of down here somewhere. So yeah, let's get on board here. So we've got this ramp, which is based off another ramp on the workshop that I will put a link to in the final release of this, because it's a very good kind of concept for a ramp and it works very well. Then we've got this little sort of hut up there that controls the ramp and a lot of the lights as well. So you'll see probably over there, just you can't really see it anymore because it's behind the boat, but over there's a little hut basically, and that hut is the harbour office. So anything that's coming up and down the channel and in and out of the harbour, you kind of, if you're doing an RP, you would contact someone that's there and they would sort of tell you where to park and all that kind of stuff. So speaking of parking, let's just park that there before we hit the fence, and we'll get off this big boat. So we're off the big boat, and you can see it's kind of parked there in its own sort of section of the harbour. Now that is also going to be a multifunctional kind of area as well, but it does have the ramp, so this boat here and other sort of similar boats will be able to come in and park up there, unload and unload cars and foot passengers, and then go off on their way again. Anything else that we can show you from here? Well, we've got over here a small kind of pontoon. Now this I actually should have a proper look at up close, because this is something I was working on just before recording. I haven't actually properly tested it yet. This pontoon's in 4 sections and theoretically it's floating. So if we just crank up the wind a bit, it's going to take a while for it to properly get windy because of the really slow game speed. But we should see whether or not it works. I hope it does. We're sort of sitting at the end of how far we can go down there because it's kind of looped in like that, but right. Okay, so obviously that needs work. While we're over here, this is going to be a sort of, if we imagine that side is the commercial side of the harbour. Oh, I need to turn the wind down, otherwise that boat's going to tip over. Might as well also turn the rain down a bit, make it a bit nicer. So if we imagine that side over there is the commercial side of the harbour, so where all the big boats that are carrying like paying passengers and freight and all that kind of stuff come in. Over here is our sort of more leisure side of the harbour. So the idea is that just out there in that kind of area there between the harbour and then the channel markers that you can see, we'll look more at them in a minute. There's going to be a few little mooring buoys dotted about, and the idea is that someone on them mooring buoys, on like a yacht or something, can come in here if they need fuel. We've got a big fuel pump there, and then they can also bring in like smaller boats to here to take them out to the big, like just kind of for private boats. And then obviously your harbour office is up there as well, so that's where everything's managed from. You'll see also we have a generator just beside the harbour building, and that is going to that thing there, and there'll also be a few more of them dotted about the place that will have electricity points, so that if your boat runs out of battery you can just plug it in and you'll be good to go. So the actual harbour office itself then has a radar. The radar probably isn't much good because it's just going to be saying up and down the river, not even too far. That there is for a data link system. Now the data link system is a system made by Faulkner, and you'll have seen some of his systems used in other boats of mine. Actually is dynamic positioning, and possibly, yeah, it has data link as well, that boat there. This basically allows you to connect to up to like 7 or 8 other boats, and they can all be on a database, and you can just kind of talk between them. This is the radar. Not much good. Probably will end up changing that for something else. But then we've also got some controls and stuff for the lights. The lights aren't hooked up because of got to figure out what to do with them. And then we've got some emergency equipment and master breakers for the whole harbour, and just a little toilet for like convenience. And we also have a lot of sort of safety stuff dotted around the place, because one thing you can never have too much of is safety equipment, just in case something happens. So, sun has set a wee bit, and no time like the present to get this boat underway, so we'll just hop on through this little gap in the side rail and go on in through the locker room here. So you'll have seen this boat quite a bit in other videos and in general, and like just stuff I do. It's one of my favourite boats, I'll admit. So we'll just head up to the bridge, and up there we're just going to start up our second engine, because you can hear we have an engine running at the minute. That is just to kind of give us some power for lights and all that kind of stuff, so that we don't drain down the battery and have to use our generator. So just while we're sitting here, it's just easier to run that engine while we're about to go anyway. So get the other engine up and running. There we go. And we'll also activate our bridge wing. So the bridge wing will allow us to take control from here, so that we have a better view than we would from over there. We've also got a camera to let us know. So tricky exit out of here today. We've got the Sawyer Pioneer on our left, and then we've got a fairly narrow little inlet at the end there. Now, originally this harbour was 2 parts, so that part over there was different to this part over here, but to kind of keep resource use down and all that kind of stuff, I decided to make them into one. And it does mean that the harbour is a lot smaller, so it used to maybe go another 40 metres, say, in that direction, but it's left us with this tiny little channel to get through, which is going to be challenging, but hopefully possible, because I've designed this to be able to be used with a boat up to about 80 metres. So my Sawyer Rose, my ocean liner, I've test fitted in here so that it actually fits along this quayside here, and that means if you're RPing with a big ship, it'll be able to come in here. So now we just need to get all of our ropes undone, so take that off there and we'll bring it back on board. This is where it's handy to have 2 people playing, because you can have one person up on the bridge ready to go and the other one doing the ropes, or even have both of you doing the ropes, and then one of you can run up to the bridge while the other person does the last rope, just so you have a bit more control over the boat. Very good conditions today, so we'll just take both them ropes off. We're sitting pretty still anyway, we're not having too much external forces acting on us. And just move our way up to the front and grab that one, and just like that we have our last rope, and it is now stowed away neatly. So we'll take this little handy wee hatch up onto deck just to make it a bit quicker getting to the bridge. We're going to initially use our starboard side wing, so that we can see once we're clear of the side, and then we'll move over to our port side so that we don't hit the Sawyer Pioneer over there. So we'll just start by getting the bow out a wee bit, because we're sort of already swung out a wee bit at the back there. Just want to get the bow evened up, and we've got a camera here as well, so we can actually kind of see the angle the bow is sitting at quite well. And then we'll use both of them, and that'll just put us out kind of level, hopefully. And then we can also use this camera somewhat to gauge how close we are to Solar Pioneer, as well as looking at it, and I think we've got plenty of room. So just engage a bit of forward momentum just to get us kind of pushed off. And just kick it back out again. So that should just push us out. We've used the tires at the back there as a kind of pivot, so kind of springed off them, and then we're good to go. So just a wee bit more forward helm, just ever so slightly angle our pods to the left. Hopefully it doesn't drive us back onto the pier. Nope, look to be good there. Just recenter them. And I think we'll leave this side and head over to this side. Just quickly check it out. This side has slightly better visibility just because we don't have all the instrumentation over there. We can check, and we're just going to kill the throttle there. So if we look from a third person view, we're doing quite well. Ignoring the lamppost in the middle of the water there, that's, as I said, it's still kind of work in progress. So we need to pivot around once we get far enough past, once we get the bow thruster past the front of Solar Pioneer, we can then use that as our kind of pivot to bring us around, and then once we're free enough at the back, we can use our stern thruster pushing the other direction to drag us around in a kind of rotation to get us out. So we'll just kill the power and just kind of coast along a bit slower. That's nearly 4 knots there. Just check we're not going to hit anything in front of us. I think we're good. Yep, that looks alright. So we can just kind of swing the bow around. Another situation where you'd be good with 2 people, because you can have one person acting as a spotter, just to make sure you're not going to hit anything, because you can only rely on cameras so much to tell you that information. Just walk forward a wee bit here and just have a proper look while there's no forces, while we've no propulsion going. So the bow's kind of still swinging around under momentum from the bow thruster. And then the stern, we're well free at the stern. So we can bring stern thruster to starboard, and that'll bring the bow in that direction. So moving it, or that'll bring the stern in that direction, moving it towards the key. And then once, oh dear, didn't mean to do that. Really not too much could go wrong. So yeah, now that that's lined up, we can then just go straight out, I think. So yeah, this is one of the reasons I built this harbour, is because I really like RP and these kind of things where you're taking a big boat out of a really small little harbour or something like that. Something where there's a lot of kind of stuff to go wrong. It's always interesting to see if it does or not. So we can just through that window see the end. We can see the fuel tank there from the fuel pump from the pier. And we should see the port side marker. So once we have our nose, which is basically that big radar there, once we have that past the port marker, we can kind of judge, right, okay, we're free, we're past that. It's no longer a major obstacle for us. So just easing our way out. We'll just nip back over to this side now because we're free on that side. We're not going to hit there, I don't think. Yeah, we're grand. So it's just this side then that we're concerned about getting past the other side, and we look to be fairly clear of that anyway. So we can make our way at the front. Just double check everything lines up. Yep, that's good. We can see our first set of channel markers there. There will be another set closer in that I just need to still make, because I'm going to make them a bit differently to the rest of them. Now the channel, you'll kind of see, doesn't line up with the bridge. That's just because it's a bit difficult to judge the way I'd done it the first time. It's just kind of put in place roughly to see what it looks like. But yeah, that'll all be sort of smoothed out to be a lot more realistic. So we pick up the speed a wee bit now. We can drop control from the bridge wings because we don't need to do any more close quarter maneuvering. And once the back is past the port side marker on that side, I would judge us to be kind of free from there, and we can just go on ahead with our journey as normal. Get our radar started up and our sonar, just so that we can be aware of any sort of underwater obstacles we might hit. Zoom out the map. Oh, we can't zoom out the map, okay. So just adjust our pods slightly so that we can line up properly with the channel. 7.5 knots at 40% throttle. Not bad at all. So obviously we're going to need to go ahead and call for the bridge to open up. That kind of brings me on to another question. Does anyone watching know how they can be remotely controlled? Because there are the switching terminals at the train lines, and then the cranes at like sell points as well. They can all be controlled by remote control, but I can't seem to figure out a way of getting that to be controlled by remote control. But it would definitely be something I'd like, because it would be really handy to just press a button in the Harbour office, or even tune in on a certain frequency and be able to just lift that up and drop it back down as you need to. Just about to see port side marker there. That's us in the channel then, and we are good to go all the way up out to sea. So we were able to get the bridge opened, and now we can pass underneath without taking the top of the mast off, although the mast is collapsible, so if we come across a bridge that doesn't open, we'll still be alright, as long as it's tall enough to fit the rest of the ship in, obviously. But yeah, we've got bridge open, or the bridge open, and we're all good all the way up the end of the channel then. And like, look at that, that's just a straight line of channel markers. Now, you'll notice some areas flash on a different time to the other ones. Now, that's just because the map is split up into tiles. Well, this is why I think it is. The map is split up into tiles, and each tile contains the different parts to the mission. And then because of that, them spawning in, they maybe spawn in a different order, so they spawn in on a different tick of the game, so the game ticks like 60 times a second, say. Then you get sort of a difference in the start time, so if one of them starts a second after the other, it'll flash a second after the other, and sort of vice versa, and all, they just don't line up. It's annoying, but I can't figure any way around it, and it's been the same with some other stuff I've built in the past where they've kind of not lined up with each other. It's a bit annoying, but it's not the worst thing. just like everyone, we are in open water. We've left the comfort of Sawyer Islands behind us and the safety of the channel behind us, off on our big adventure out to sea. Now, I'll be totally honest with you, between coming from like Holt town, just past the bridge, all the way to like a minute ago, I went on a walk. Somehow, I wasn't expecting us to go this far. I was expecting us to crash into the bank somehow. But we appear to have made it all the way past even the lighthouse, actually. Like, how we made that turn, I have no idea. Like, how does a boat that's just doing its own thing... Hello? I suppose maybe just on the off chance we had like a straight enough line out that we just didn't hit anything, but I guess we'll find out when I edit. So, yeah. I hope you enjoyed that sort of quick look at my new project, and give me some ideas for stuff, data and all that kind of stuff down below in the comments. The plan is to have a lot more kind of sort of secondary little parts up and down the river. So maybe it, like one part have a coal pier where we've had rumours of coal as like another cargo item that you can trade. So if that happens, a coal pier kind of coming out halfway up the river or something, and maybe like an oil terminal and all that kind of stuff where you can buy or store. Can't really place a buy point, but you can definitely store kind of oil and diesel and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, let me know what you think of them ideas and what you think of everything in general. Any ideas you have to change things around and all that kind of stuff. And until next video, I will see you later. Bye bye. There's no time like the present to get this ship underway. Now, you've seen plenty of this boat in... Oh, fuck off.